Let's talk about migrants, because we're not the only ones. We're not the only ones that's concerned about what's going on in this election. Yes, sir. There are people outside, and I'm going to read the Cash Apps too. There are people outside that are concerned because they see this election also, and they're watching carefully to determine what is going to happen in our republic. Don't believe me? Let's get into it. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Spend 10 minutes on this.
Immigration is one of the leading issues in the presidential campaign, and the outcome of the election could dramatically change U.S. border policy, as well as impact thousands of migrants hoping to enter America. CBS News immigration and politics reporter Camilo Montoya Galvez traveled to northern Mexico to speak to those anxiously monitoring the election from the other side of the border.
Colombia,
Ecuador, Russia, really?
Russia.
You have migrants from Russia here too? Wow.
Migrants from across the globe come to the shelter in Nogales, Mexico, with the goal of reaching the U.S. to escape economic hardship and, in some cases, deadly danger.
Ahí nos intentaron matarnos y
They tried to kill you?
Sí.
Who did? ¿Quién nos trató de matar?
Las bandas que estaban en ese tiempo que recién ingresó el
Criminal
presidente.
gangs.
Like many we met that day, Ecuadorian native Rosa Benalcalzar is trying to get an appointment to enter the U.S. through an app known as CBP One. The Biden administration set it up to discourage illegal border crossings.
The CBP One app, for those of y'all that don't know,
CBP One
is an application that is letting over 50,000 people into this country without having to actually go through it through a legal process. The original process is no longer a thing. They're using a CBP One app. They're also flying them right over here into the United States of America. They find the places that they want them to be in, and they dropping them right off. That's how you wind up seeing 20,000 migrants, Haitians, over in Springfield. A lot of people was like, where did they come from? Did they get on a bus? Who gave them agency over here? This is how they did it. This is how they did it. They got the parole program, and then they got the CBP One app. You can download it on your mobile device. I've never seen such nonsense in my entire life. You can download it on your mobile device and fill out your application while you're waiting in some kind of border housing, homeless shelter that's being funded by God knows who. And then eventually you can come right over here in the United States of America. And to date, it's close to 1 million people that has gotten in under this app. 1 million. So now when they sit there and they lie to you when they say, well, we've stopped the flow of migrants across the border, they've just redirected them. It doesn't mean that they've stopped anything whatsoever. But this is the process.
The Biden administration set it up to discourage illegal border crossings. But the wait times can extend for months given the high demand.
8 meses ya, 7 meses con la aplicación.
You've been waiting for 7 months, but no luck so far. No has tenido suerte todavía.
No he tenido suerte.
Sister Lika Macias, who runs the shelter, says many feel that luck may become even harder to find.
There's a lot of uncertainty here in Mexico right now. Why?
Bueno, son las elecciones en Estados Unidos.
These people don't even speak English, dog. They don't even speak English. At the very least, when I know I'm about to travel to another country, at least a couple months out, because I plan my trips out internationally a couple months out, I make an effort to learn the basics to be able to communicate with the people more effectively, especially when I'm in spaces where it's not a tourist destination. I learned about their currency. When I was in Bucharest, I had to learn about the lei and the equivalent of it so that I'm not getting finessed. And know for every 5 lei, it costs $1. And so they don't even make an effort to respect the culture of what we've established here in the United States of America. They just said, we're going to get there and we're going to figure it out when we come. It's crazy.
Elections in the U.S. That's the reason.
Exacto. Específicamente, las políticas de Estados Unidos tienen que ver con la política migratoria.
Because the politics in the U.S. affect policy here
Sí,
at the border.
Exacto.
Vice President Kamala Harris has promised to continue current policies that limit who can request asylum. But former President Donald Trump has vowed to seal the border altogether, including by ending the CBP One app.
No sabemos, la elección puede ir cualquier manera.
Immigration attorney Alba Jaramillo urged migrants to be patient and to avoid listening to social media rumors about an overnight U.S. policy change.
There's a lot of concern about what's going to happen.
They're scared.
They're very scared. They think that the asylum system is going to close.
50% of the migrants here are children. Their parents are desperately awaiting the results of the presidential elections in the U.S., fearing dramatic changes in American border policy. But as you can see behind me, the kids here are just focused on being kids.
For the children, there's little to fear. Here, they can learn English and mathematics.
¿Y cómo se lee la cantidad esta? ¿La fracción? Un cuarto.
And enjoy outdoor activities and treats. But parents remain deeply concerned.
Are you worried about what could happen after the election in the U.S.?
Sí, sí tengo miedo.
You are scared. Why? ¿Por qué?
Porque haga de cuenta que si cierran la aplicación, ¿qué vamos a hacer? Ya esperamos 10 meses. Y sí es como desesperante.
You're worried about the U.S. closing down the application that you're using to try to get an appointment to enter the U.S.
Arely Doral says returning to her hometown in Mexico is not an option.
How did that become our problem? Okay, so at what point do Americans get displaced and for it to get so bad with us that we then are now displaced and we're out on the street as Americans, and why can't they make their own country great again? Why can't they make their own state great again? Why can't they make their own city great again? You know what I'm saying? We trying to fix our own homes. Listen, I know you want to do what you want to do, but I've always believed, you know why I didn't leave the city? You know why I never left Detroit? I could live anywhere in the world practically that I want to. I would qualify from a financial perspective to be able to move anywhere inside of the country. There is no state that I would not thrive in. California, who would ever want to go to that hellhole? But financially, I would be just fine for the rest of my life. I can go to Florida, Miami, New York, whatever, right? I decided to stay in my own city. And I know that this is a micro reflection of what we're talking about from a border perspective. But when everybody was saying that Detroit was a nothing and all of that, and some people still say it, and that's cool. I respect their opinion. They can say what they want to say. Maybe their experience or what they seeing on social media is completely different from what my experience is in real life. But I grew up here, and I grew up at a time where Detroit was at its lowest. I used to catch the Hamilton bus down 7 Mile to downtown Detroit, and Greektown and downtown was a ghost town. It was an absolute ghost town. I used to see Don Barton, who passed away, hanging out in Greektown. My mom, I used to come down here with her. I used to visit my uncle. He used to work for EDS. And it was a ghost town. It was an absolute ghost town. You know what I said? You know what, in my mind as a young man in high school, I said, I love architecture. It's awesome here. This could be so great. And I would look at what was going on in New York and in other cities, and I could say, man, we could take this and we could do this. As long as we build up our public transportation system and we do, like, I had a vision for what my life would be like in Detroit, in the city. And so instead of moving away, we hunkered down. We said, man, we're not leaving Michigan. This is my home. And I'll be GD'd if somebody else run me out of my place, regentrify it, and then benefit from it. Not in a million years. This is my home. I can travel anywhere I want to travel. I'm a visit, and then I'm coming home. And I'm going to pour all of the resources. People kept telling me, Anton, move to Atlanta. This is where all the content creators are. This is where the podcasters are. For what? I build my own studio. I get my own thing popping. I'm going to stay home because I am going to fix my own home first, even though it may not even be my fault, even though it may be the people that came before me, even though it may be the legislators before me. Okay, then that means that we got to mobilize people. We got to make the adjustment. We got to change the cultural norms. We got to pour money into our community. We got to keep our dollars circulating within the city. We got to make our teams great again. We got to lobby for this. We got to partner with bigger businesses. We got to partner with the people. We got to start attending all of these meetings. We got to make sure that we find out and support the police and all of these different things. And even though I may not even align politically with a lot of the people that play their role inside of Detroit, we all can come to a conclusion and we work together well enough. And we all are in different spaces. I may be this businessman and I may build houses on a smaller level compared to an institutional investor, but I got a huge voice because I got the biggest platform inside of the city. Why would I take that to somewhere else? I'm going to make my own city great again. Make America great again is not just for America itself. It's a mindset shift. And so why don't, man, listen, y'all need to fix your own countries. And I respect the immigration process legally. But these people no, dog, no. We ain't got enough for our own cities is going broke. Our own cities is going broke. We can't support you. We can't do it. We can't do it, bro. And so I stay home. My father was born in Dawson, Georgia. My mother was born right here in Detroit, Michigan. His father was born in Dawson, Georgia. Aurelius Daniels. That was my grandfather's name. Aurelius Daniels. Dawson, Georgia. It's still a whole lot of Daniels that's still in Dawson, Georgia. How do I know? Because I kicked it with him. It's still a lot of Daniels down in Dawson, Georgia. My father's father came up to Detroit in order to try to get a job in the factories and make sure that he can bring his family up. He sent for my father and his mother and my father's brother. And then they came up to Detroit. And then I was born in Detroit, Michigan. And I said, this is where my home is. This is where I'm staying. I'm not going to Georgia. I'm not going to South. I'm not going to Dawson. I went down there. I visited my people down there. I seen their cribs. Their cribs is on sticks and stuff. I said, man, I'm not doing this. I am from Detroit. 20214 Green Lawn. Between 7 Mile and 8 Mile. Between Norfolk and Chippewa. Livernois and Wyoming. Hampton Elementary School, baby. This is where we from. This is where we stand. This is where we holding it down. Bobian. Mumford was right up the street. Decided to send me over to Cass Tech. Greatest high school in the city. This is what we do. We staying home. I'm not going nowhere. I'm not taking my talents nowhere. I'm not going to get educated here and take all of my money somewhere else. Nope, I'm staying home. And we going to make Detroit great again. We going to make America great again. These people need to go home, man.
Why isn't it an option to go back to Guerrero?
Porque
Dawson
ya
is
de
the
cuenta
country.
que hay mucha delincuencia y de donde yo vengo ahorita se puso más trabajoso.
There's a lot of crime and it's dangerous. Y es peligroso para tu hijo. It's dangerous for your kid.
Sí.
Camilo joins us now from Tucson, Arizona. Camilo, are there
People gotta go
concerns that
home,
the
man.
results of the election could potentially upend the current, what's considered lull in border crossings?
Hi, Lindsay. Yes, the short answer is yes. Illegal border crossings right now stand at a 4-year low. They are lower now than when the Trump administration left office in January of 2021. But as you know, migration flows can change dramatically, especially if there is a perception that U.S. government policy will change. And U.S. officials are telling me that they are concerned that they could see a spike in illegal border crossings if former President Trump is elected and is announced as the winner of the election, because many migrants will try to get inside of the country before he takes office in January of next year. If that obviously materializes, former President Donald Trump, of course, Lindsay, has promised to reinstate his hardline immigration policies, including the Remain in Mexico asylum program, to end and terminate several programs that allow migrants to come here legally, including that CBP One app process.
And y'all can see Carrie tonight. You can see Carrie tonight on After Hours. For all the Carrie's fans.
That you heard about in that story, and obviously to launch the largest deportation.
And then you see all of those people? You see those migrant caravans? Some of them not even stopping over into the shelter. They just running right here inside of the United States of America. So ultimately, they have the same interests in our election, and actually they look at it as a life or death situation, because they question and becomes, okay, how soon can I get into the United States of America, considering that this administration has let so many people in here illegally, versus Trump, who was taking a hardline stance and saying, listen, we got to fix our own country. We got to put our own resources and our own people, and we got to fix the mess that we have before we start to let other people inside of this country.